Hello! Today we'll be talking about Azumarill, the first water fairy evolution, although it didn't get the fairy type until Gen 6. Starting in Gen 3, it's the final evolution of Azumarill, who evolves into Azumarill at level 18. Its previous PYC dates are August 28th, 1996, June 19th, 1999, April 9th, 2002, January 28th, 2005, November 19th, 2007, September 9th, 2010, June 30th, 2013, April 20th, 2016, February 9th, 2019, and November 30th, 2021. I think Azumarill turning into a more rabbit-like design is interesting, particularly after Azumarill was introduced, where it keeps more of the mouse-like design. Anyway, let's get into the Bulbapedia article. Hello and welcome to the Bulbapedia section of the video. Today we'll be talking about Azumarill, the Aqua Rabbit Pokemon. It was all one word in Gen 2. Its number is 0-184. This is what it looks like. Type is Water Fairy. Abilities, Thick Fat or Huge Power. Sap Sipper is its hidden ability. Gender ratio is 50-50. Catch rate is 75 or 17.5%. Breeding is 8 groups, Water 1 and Fairy. Hatch time, 10 cycles. Height is 2'7" or 0.8 meters. Weight is 62.8 pounds or 28.5 kilograms. Base experience yields 153 in Gens 2 through 4 and 189 in 5+. Loving rate is fast. EV yield is 3 and HP. Shape is that. Footprint is that. Pokedex color is blue and base friendship is 70. Azumarill is a dual-type water fairy Pokemon introduced in Gen 2. Prior to Gen 6, it was a pure water-type Pokemon. It evolves from Marill starting at level 18. It is the final form of Azumarill. Biology: Azumarill is a blue, bipedal, semi-aquatic leporine Pokemon that has an ovoid body. The lower half of its body is white with a white bubble-like pattern above it, which helps to camouflage it in water. It has elongated rabbit-like ears with red insides and circular eyes. When in the water, it rolls up its ears to prevent the insides from becoming wet. Its arms and feet are short with rounded ends and no discernible digits. It has a black zigzagging tail with a blue bubble-like tip. The tip of its tail tends to glow when it attacks or is excited. So you can see Azumarill using its tail as a weapon here. Azumarill has highly developed hearing that allows it to hear distances, even when it is underwater. By keeping still and listening closely, it can identify prey even in wild, fast-moving rivers. If Azumarill spots a drowning Pokemon, it will make an air bubble that helps them breathe, or when Azumarill are playing near the rivers. It lives in rivers and lakes and can live in the water all day long. Prior to Gen 6 and in Gen 9, Azumarill and its pre-evolved forms are the only known Pokemon that can have huge powers and ability. Evolution: Azumarill evolves from Marill and is the final form of Azumarill. So we've got Azurill, Marill, Azumarill. Game data, NPC appearances, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Gates to Infinity. Azumarill is the Pokemon in charge of the requests counter, where job requests can be accepted and cancelled. Pokedex entries in Gen 2 and Gold. By keeping still and listening intently, it can tell what is in even wild, fast-moving rivers. Silver, when it plays in water, it rolls up its elongated ears to prevent their insides from getting wet. Crystal, the bubble-like pattern on its stomach helps it camouflage itself when it's in the water. For Stadium 2, if you have Pokemon Red, Silver, or Crystal inserted, you get the Gold entry, but if you have Pokemon Blue, Gold, or Yellow inserted, you get the Silver entry. In Gen 3, Ruby, Azumarill's long ears are indispensable sensors. By focusing its hearing, this Pokemon can identify what kinds of prey are around, even in rough and fast-running rivers. Sapphire, Azumarill can make balloons out of air. It makes these air balloons if it spots a drowning Pokemon. The air balloons enable the Pokemon in trouble to breathe. Emerald, it lives in water virtually all day long. Its body color and pattern act as camouflage that makes it tough for enemies to spot in water. Fire Red is the Silver entry, while Leaf Green is the Gold entry. In Gen 4, Diamond, it lives in rivers and lakes. In water, its coloring and patterns trick the vision of foes. Pearl, its long ears are superb sensors. It can distinguish the movements of living things on riverbeds. Platinum, it can spend all day in water since it can inhale and store a large volume of air. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, their Gold and Silver counterparts. In Gen 5, Black and Whites is Platinums. Black 2 and White 2s is very similar to Pearls, but slightly different, so I'll read it. Its long ears are superb sensors. It can distinguish the movements of things in water and can tell what they are. In Gen 6, X is actually Pearls. The Y Pokedex entry is Crystal's entry. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are basically Ruby and Sapphires, but Azumarill and Pokemon are now the correct casing. In Gen 8 is Sword. It spends most of its time in the water. On sunny days, Azumarill floats on the surface of the water and sunbathes. Shield. These Pokemon create air-filled bubbles. When Azumarill play in rivers, Azumarill will cover them with these bubbles. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are Diamond and Pearl counterparts. In Gen 9. Scarlet is the Pearl entries and Wise entry. Violet is the Gold entries and Leaf Green's entry. So we got Azumarill, the Paldea Pokedex. It's a full evolutionary line image, which I love. So you've got the Azumarill in the foreground, then sort of the mid-ground, you've got a Marill. Then in the background, you've got an Azurill. That's very cute. And of course, there's a river. That makes sense. Or a stream, looks like, more likely. Although, I don't know. There's a bridge here, so maybe this is at low tide. Maybe it rises up to being that level when it's flooded or something. Game locations. Side game locations. Stats. Base stats will compare Gens 2 to 5 and 6 onward. HP 100, that stays the same. Attack 50, that stays the same. Defense 80, that stays the same. Special attack 50, that goes up to 60. Special defense 80, that stays the same. Speed 50, that stays the same. So for a total of 410 and a total of 420. Pokeathlon stats. Type effectiveness, damage normally by normal, flying, ground, rock, ghost, steel, psychic, and fairy. Weak to poison, grass, and electric. Immune to dragon. Resistant to fighting, bug, fire, water, ice, and dark for half. Notes, if this Pokemon is given a ring target, the effectiveness of Dragon-type moves is 1. It'll be 1 instead of 0. If this Pokemon has thick fat, the effectiveness of Fire-type moves is 1/4, and the effectiveness of Ice-type moves is 1/4. So, it would be 1/4 instead of a half for both. If this Pokemon has Sap Sipper, the effectiveness of Grass-type moves is 0, so it would be 0 instead of 2. Due to the conversion to Fairy-type, the effectiveness of Steel-type moves was half, went from half to 1, and Dragon-type, Dark-type, Fighting-type, Bug-type, and Poison-type moves were 1 prior to Gen 6. Dragon-type went from 1 to 0, Dark, Fighting, and Bug went from 1 to half, and Poison from 1 to 2. Learn set by leveling up. We'll go down to 21 Aquatail, 21 Aquatail, 25 Play Rough, 30 Aqua Ring, 35 Rain Dance, 40 Hydro Pump, 45 Double Edge, and 50 Superpower. Skipping by TM, and by breeding. By prior evolution, Azurill can give you Splash. It's a status normal type move. Power is nothing, accuracy is nothing, and PB is 40. Special moves, from this event you can get Aqua Jet, Liquidation, and Sing. Side game data, you got all this. Pokemon Ranger, Guardian Signs, and the browser entry. It attacks by spinning bubbles that make Pokemons load. You got this. Okay. Evolution data, Azurill, level up with High Friendship. Marill, level 18, Azumarill. Breed, holding the Sea Incense. Gen 3 to 8. Sprites here, okay, a little darker, but still fairly familiar to me. So it has brown ear insides. This is yellow, also something I'm fairly familiar with. It's kind of a gold at this point. Yeah, this is corrected to being sort of more red. I guess it's also mouth was brown as well. This keeps the brown though, that's interesting. Gen 3, so that's a lighter blue. Yep, also familiar with that blue. Becomes much brighter red, kind of a pinkish red. This is a much brighter, more obviously yellow color. Gen 4. I think there's a little bit of a distinction in the ear colors now. And probably mouth color as well. Yep, and you can... Yeah, not much changes. Like, I think it becomes much more, like, streamlined, I guess. It's a lot less chunky in the limbs and stuff. The ears seem to be a little bit longer, and the tail's probably a little bit longer as well. Yeah. The bubble number change? 6, 5, if I can count there. 3 on the back, 4 on the back. 5 on the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. Got full back sprite for, yeah, Gen 5 here. A little darker, back to kind of the darker blue, but not quite as dark, I think, as the other one. So you got 5, again, seems to be probably a little bit more, yeah, like, standardized. That's 4. Oh, we're back to 6, okay. So we got the models, pretty good. This one actually kind of works a lot better for the stretchy body. Like, I think, like, the longer body, it's more egg-shaped, I guess. There was also the longer body for the other one, which didn't really work out. Which wasn't really more accurate. This is kind of a pink inside now, it's kind of a darker pink. There's 6 on the front. I can only see 2, unless I'm sure there's more on the back. It probably is, yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be consistent. Okay. Okay, Gen 7, or, yeah, Gen 7, not much seems to change here. The ears might be a little bit shorter, generally it might be a little bit shorter. Homes, he still got 6, okay, yeah. Yep. Okay. in the anime. You got Azumarill in the anime. These, yeah. Pokedex entries in episode 153 in Ash's Pokedex. Azumarill, the Aqua Rabbit Pokemon, the evolved form of Marill. This Pokemon uses its large, highly developed ears to hear great distances, even underwater. In Diamond and Pearl, episode 15, in Dawn's Pokedex, Azumarill, the Aqua Rabbit Pokemon. Azumarill lives in rivers and lakes, and while in water, its body color and pattern confuses its enemies. Pokemon Paldean wins. You can see one here. I think it's probably with this guy. In the manga, Azumarill in the Pokemon Adventures, TCG. Other appearances, Pokemon Unite. Azumarill is playable through obtaining a Unite license. It is a melee all-arounder that starts as Marill, which evolves into Azumarill at level 5. So you've got Azumarill in Pokemon Unite. Trivia, in Gen 5, Azumarill and Marill are the only Pokemon that can have the electric type as their sole weakness. This is because of their hidden ability, Sap Sipper. The second point I read in the Marill video. Origin, Azumarill may be based on a combination of a rabbit and a beach ball, or possibly a personal flotation device or life buoy. It could be also possibly based on the swamp rabbits, which have a strong preference for wet areas, such as cypress swamps, marsh swamps, floodplains, and river tributaries, and that will take to the water and swim. Azumarill's water-like splash pattern may reflect from the camouflage of counter-shading of aquatic animals such as sharks and penguins, being that they have dark coloration on top to match the dark water underneath and a white coloration on their under to match the sunlight from above. Its body shape, rabbit appearance, and body pattern could be a reference to Easter Bunny and Easter eggs. Azumarill's resemblance to a rabbit likely influences its fairy type and its ability, Huge Power, which serves as a pun for fortifying mochi. These aspects may draw inspiration from the moon rabbit legend, where people interpret the dark markings on the moon as a rabbit. The choice of the fairy type is also fitting, as it is often associated with the moon and sweet treats. Name origin, Azumarill may be a combination of azure, a shade of blue, azul, Spanish and Portuguese for blue, or azul marino, Spanish for navy blue, mar, Spanish and Portuguese for sea, or Marill, and possibly Rill, a small river or brook. Marilli may be a combination of Marui, round or circular, Mari, ball, Ruri, lapis, lazuli, and possibly Rill, a small river or brook, and marine blue. In other languages, see also external links. Let's move on. Now let's watch Azumarill's first scene in the anime. Hello and welcome to the anime portion of the video. Today we are watching episode 153, Love Totodile Style. In this episode, Ash Ketchum, the main characters, traveling companions, Brock and Misty, as well as their Pokemon, have stopped at this little lake or pond, and one of the Pokemon is Ash's Totodile, and he has spotted an Azumarill, and you can kind of hear it singing a little bit. There's it. It's fall in love. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's not like him. Aww. And that is Azumarill's first scene in the anime. Let's move on. Now let's see why people love Azumarill. Now let's look at fan art. Hello and welcome to the fan art section of the video. Nobody sent in fan art, so instead we're looking at TV and our fan art. For those of you familiar with the series, you might be wondering why we're on this single image. That's because this is the only image we'll be doing today. So, this is Azumarill Mama by Coconut Milky Way. So, this interesting stylized Azumarill here. It seems almost to be like an older Azumarill, maybe a wiser Azumarill. So it's holding this berry or apple. I'm not sure. Then it's, I don't know if these are its children or her children. But there's a Pikachu and a Pancham.
Then it's just showing off its butt, I guess. Now it's fishing, I guess, or just in the water. Yep. That's it. Let's move on.
Thanks to everyone who submitted fan art. I won't be streaming tonight, as I need to wait until I talk about Meltank before I can evolve Marill into Azumarill. Tomorrow I'll be talking about Sudowoodo. As always, this is my proper outfit, and you'll see me tomorrow.